They had low budget, so they reused animation a lot.
That was brilliant to me. I thought that was, you know, they have the pose where He-Man will turn around and he'll kind of shrug his shoulders like this, or the one where he'll punch something right square in the chest, and they'll reuse that same shot over and over. But they were the first, and really no one's actually done it since, that really showed this massive physicality of all these action stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these guys that we wanted to be like. And when He-Man hit the screen, obviously in the 82 Filmation, Adam and He-Man looked exactly the same, except one had a pink shirt on and one had the breastplate on. It was like, dude, that guy is yoked. That's like Mr.
He's
Universe.
supposed to be 16 in that series. But it's really funny because the reason for that is because both Filmation and Mattel had a low budget. They didn't want to create an original design for Adam, for the secret identity. And so that's why he looks almost identical, aside from shedding some clothes and getting an Insta-tan.
And his voice changed just a little bit.
Those performances, John Irwin especially, because it's just like, and it reminds me of something that Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, mentioned when he was trying to create a voice for that role. But it was a powerful hero with heart, which even now we don't see a lot. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, like, being the sensitive guy I am, I always resonated with that, you know. And so for me, Filmation was like my main thing. And ironically, this is where we're going to butt heads. I wasn't a huge fan of the original vintage toy line because they didn't look like the cartoon. Right. So we'll talk about in a little bit. There's another company that actually kind of fixed that in the future, but we'll talk about that more in kind of our franchise timeline.
Yes.
But yeah, so Filmation was a big part of it. So like it just those great stars, John Irwin, Alan Oppenheimer, Linda Gary, just long careers in animation and acting in general. And who can forget like Skeletor's performance? Like, yeah,
never
everyone does it.
It's beautiful. And when you listen to Alan talk about how he came up with the voice for the role, he was like, well, he doesn't have any skin, so immediately I go up here.
Right. It's got to echo in that little chamber of his sinuses.
Just beautifully done, man. I love it. Everything about it. You know, to me, it was that time period with He-Man and with Thundar the Barbarian and Transformers,
nice one.
G.I. Joe, and all this stuff that was really like, as a kid that was into action stuff and sports and wanting to be a badass but wasn't really, it was so endearing because it wasn't cool back then to be the kid on the floor playing D&D in the lunchroom.
Right.
It wasn't cool to be the toy collector. So we did it in private. And as shameful it is to say that I wasn't just proud of who I was, back then it wasn't like society is today. It wasn't cool to be part of that culture. But when I was able to embrace it with other friends that had like interests, or, you know, Saturday morning cartoons, the whole thing, it was a real bonding moment for me and a bunch of guys that I never knew were into the same stuff I was into.